My greatest fear for the African American community, or what I call the African community in America, is that we never get our stuff together for us. My greatest fear isn't that we don't receive reparations or someone doing something for us. My greatest fear is that we do not receive unity and achieve justice and the repair of ourselves because our lack of intentionality, because of the self-hate, because of the divisiveness, and our unintentionality, doing it on purpose. I've kind of pegged my upbringing to be what I call the traditional black man story, right? So most of the stereotypes that fit black men in America, I've experienced. I was born to a teenage mom. She literally was on the abortion table and walked off to have me. My father was in prison before I was 1 year old. My biological father left by the time I was 3 months old. My mom was hooked on drugs. My father was hooked on heroin. I visited prisons growing up. We were on Section 8, we were on welfare, WIC, food stamps. There was abuse in my home. I was sexually abused when I was young. I was a high school dropout. I remember getting Goodwill clothes for Christmas. And so I've been through all types of obstacles and journeys and trials, all the way to being an at-risk youth at 17 years old, to going to alternative programs, catching my first felony by 18 years old. And so I've been through many of the cliches or stereotypes that our community has been through. And even as a 3-time felon, served 2.5 years in prison, spent 10 years in the streets, and then transformed his life at 25 years old. Even been through divorce. I've been through bankruptcy. I've been through many of the stigmas that we have been through, a teenage dad myself. And I feel like all that makes me be able to relate and empathize with our people and the condition of our people. And my successes and transformation and elevation within all those challenges has allowed me to have a sense of optimism that if I could do it coming from Jermaine off 3rd and Center Street in Somerville, New Jersey, or leaving the block of 10th and Springfield, New Jersey as Maine, and I can come into the business world as Jay Morrison, the mogul, the CEO, I believe if I could transform out of C-74 Mod 3 upper, facing 3 years to life in prison at 18 years old, if I could make it through those challenges, I believe that anyone can make it from whatever their obstacles are. I founded a Tulsa Real Estate Fund in 2016, inspired by the aftermath of the Freddie Gray uprising in Baltimore, which I was an active participant. And during a panel that BET sponsored after the post uprising, during the panel, there was several activists there, Tamika Mallory, Mark Lamont Hill, my son in general, and one of the Baltimore natives, actually one of the Bloods and Crips they bust up in the crowds, said, "We need to build a Black Wall Street, yo." And I said, well, if anybody wants to build a Black Wall Street, that's on my watch.
I'm going to be the one, the patriarch, the matriarch, the leader and visionary for my last name to make sure that we straight.
And so I started to think and reverse engineer into what does a Black Wall Street look like modern day? How can we build a self-sustaining Black community? How do we pull our dollars together transparently with all the mistrust and self-hate in our community? How do we do something that's regulated, that's sophisticated, right, and high level? So I began to do that research and development. In 2016, we formed a company, went through the SEC filing and regulation, qualification. And then in 2018, we launched a non-traditional IPO on June 1st, on the anniversary of the Black Wall Street bombing, and we launched Tulsa Real Estate Fund to the world. I think it's difficult for Black people in Black culture to celebrate Black success because we don't have many successful Black images to look at. And it's new for us. Success is new for us. Then success in different industries outside of sports and entertainment or the streets is very, very new for us. And so when we see a reflection of ourselves, sometimes our lack of self-confidence or even internal self-hate says that, hey, who does that Negro think that they are, that they're doing something that I myself couldn't imagine myself doing, or that I've never seen someone that looks like me do. So if they're accomplishing that, there must be some level, there must be a cheat code somewhere, because I myself don't see myself being able to do something so great. So I think it's really the reflections and the images of how we see ourselves and what we think that we can actually accomplish in our trauma, the trauma that we've inherited from generations and generations of oppression and dehumanization and being stripped of our dignity and our nationhood and all those things. I think, again, hurt people hurt people. So a lot of times we see someone being successful and we can see them being successful, but we're just mad they're successful because I'm hurt. And it makes me feel better to hurt you with your happy self because I'm hurt. So a lot of times we see people that are successful and happy, and the trauma in us wants to somehow, subconsciously or consciously, tear them down so they can feel a little more like how we're feeling right now. There's a sector or group of Africans in America, black people, however they consider themselves, who from the inception of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, June 1st, 2018, on the day that Black Wall Street was bombed in 1921 and massacred, it's an inception that we launched in 2018. There's been black people who have been adamant that our fund is fraudulent, that I am fraudulent, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a scam, that it's based off bad moral principle, and they've been very vocal about tearing us down and essentially burning down modern day Black Wall Street, even the Black House that we're sitting in today. And these people have done what I call Black COINTELPRO. They have done smear campaigns, psychological warfare. They've edited documents. They chopped up videos. They have literally put out intentional propaganda to create doubt in the minds of our people about me, my integrity, my ability, and my intentions behind the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, Group Economics, the Jay-Morrison-Academy, our whole group and our whole mission for unity, justice, and repair. These same folks saw, and I believe created the atmosphere for the dual investigation, the dual federal investigation that we endured for 18 months. And when the investigation happened, they said, aha, we told you so. He was a fraud. If he wasn't a fraud, why is he being investigated? If it wasn't a scam, then why is he being investigated? So then, after the 18-month investigation and was found with no findings and concluded and with no enforcement action, they then said still, he's a fraud, he's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme. And so they have taken every opportunity against logic, against our good works. They said he's gonna steal and his wife are gonna run off with the money. And then we resurrected the Black House. Then they said he duped you on the Black House. They purchased the Black House for $2.1 million, but they put in their documents $3.2 million. They put that million in their pocket, as if the Black House didn't take $1 million of development that we also documented. They literally have distorted or blatantly just lied against the facts, all with intentions to tear us down. And then new people who've had personal disputes or business disputes or their own personal vendettas against me have now rallied that same Black COINTELPRO community to then bring more people to the front to say, hey, I've done business with him and it's been illegitimate, he's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme. And they've continued to try to perpetuate this narrative of negative propaganda in order to simply disparage my name and to create doubt and cloud my credibility and to essentially tear down our legacy. Initially, when the disparagement and the Black COINTELPRO campaign started, I was actually in shock. I expected to be attacked as the first Black-owned real estate crowdfund in the history of America. I am no fool, I know our history. But I expected to be attacked by white supremacists. I never expected, I was totally blindsided that our community, not having any vehicle or any platform for equitable group economics, would turn against the first Black-owned real estate crowdfund in the history of America before it even had a chance to operate. So had it been years and we, just raised money as some have and not produced, I could see the allegations, I could see the complaints. But they complained from the very first week. Before we even had a shot, they never even gave us a shot. So I was very surprised, shocked, and disappointed. As it continued, I was very frustrated, even angry at times, that our people would attack us in this way, attack my wife in this way, expose our daughters and our families, and then my staff. They forget it's not just Jay Morrison, you may hate me, but what about all the staff members and their families and what their family members think? So it was just such a low level of just self-love and dignity, and it was messy and it was muddy, and so I was really hurt for my team and for my staff and for our 15,000 investment partners. What about them? So when you say that it's all a fraud, you're disrespecting all the members of this company. Why not keep your comments to yourself and live by grandmama's rules? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And so that was hurtful. But then I matured and evolved to a point of it actually, see, I'm the type that when I go through trials, I go through fire and pressure, it doesn't create dust, it creates diamonds. And so I actually thought and reversed it and said, well, if I can't get through this, I don't deserve leadership. If I can't get through these petty people with no real facts and just their BS propaganda, if I can't endure, our company and firm can't endure that, then we are not set for the next level of leadership. And so I took it on as a challenge, and I took it on as an opportunity for us as a fund with all our members and staff to go out and show and prove. Let our works supersede their words. They can tell you I'm a scam. That's not what the FBI or the SEC said. They can tell you I'm a fraud, or the fund won't make returns, or the Black House is not real. But they've even said, hey, the Black House is an illusion. That was a made up Photoshop thing. But all we can do is keep showing up in real life and learn how to love our people greater than they hate themselves, and look past their faults and see their needs. For my persecutors and ridiculers, I want to say this. I'm giving it to God, the highest power, and He will deal with you. And one day you will evolve and your frequency will change. You guys are operating from a very low frequency, a very hateful, evil, and spiteful frequency. And it speaks to your energy and and all your blogs and all your YouTube videos and all your Instagram posts. It's never about building. It's never about love. It's never about reconciliation or atonement. It's an energy of destruction. A real man with a consistent track record, educating our community since 2012, 30 hip-hop to homeowner high school assemblies, teaching our youth about financial literacy. Corner classes, multiple acts of activism, Alpha Wright in Hemphill, Texas, Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Freddie Gray in Baltimore, Otis Bird, Shakezia Clemens, shutting down the Houston's restaurant here in Atlanta, Georgia, when they discriminated against my staff. Standing up for our people, consistently launching the first Black-owned real estate crowdfund in the history of America, launching the Jay-Morrison-Academy, twice Inc. 500, number 588, fastest growing companies in the country, top 10 educational companies in the country, 3-time author, 2-time best-selling author. I'm talking about this kind of man, a married man, a father of 3, who proudly takes care of his children. Not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying I'm the imperfect kind of man who is self-accountable enough and mature enough emotionally to say I have not been perfect. It's been my journey. But I'm not the kind of man that runs from conflict. I don't run from accusations. I don't disparage or attack women of any ethnicity. And to our supporters, followers, especially our young kings. And I want to encourage our young kings to know better and have some reasoning and logic and wisdom to say, consider your OGs. I don't care what kind of car somebody buys cash, or how many niggas they say, or blunts they smoke, or how cool they look like and sound like a rapper. But look at the history of that man. Look at their real resume. Look at who really vouches for them and what block they come off, what hood they come from, and what path are they leading you to. I could give you all my street credibility, but that's not my proudest moments. My proudest moments is my ability to rise from the streets, from the trap, from the trenches, having really been there and done that as a 3-time felon, serving 2.5 years in prison, facing 3 years of life in prison at 18 years old, doing 8 months with a double lifer, 2 homicides in Eastern Correctional Institution, and rise above that to be the CEO, founder, fiduciary, fund manager, pioneer, trailblazer of the world's first Black-owned real estate crowdfund, the largest act of group economics in the history of our community, and to be able to do that for our people and endure an 18-month federal and SEC investigation and come out with no findings, showing you that I'm about excellence and I am about doing the most and my best for our people in real life. My greatest hope is that we one day get past our differences, get past the Willie Lynch laws and syndrome, and understand that everything that we want to do for ourselves, God has already given us the gifts, the talent, the ingenuity, the resources to be able to do it for ourselves. So my greatest hope is that we come together, and it won't be all of us, but the remnant, the portion of us that are serious about liberation, are serious about independence, freedom, justice, nationality, doing for self, owning our own treasury, our own security, our own land, our own declaration, our own flag, that my greatest hope is that we come together and have a self-sustaining, independent Black nation in real life. And that we also start to practice self-love and self-elevation and get rid of our self-hate. If a fraction of that could happen in my lifetime, I would have went to heaven on earth.